Good afternoon. The 2021 Vernon Town Meeting is in order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence for our townspeople who passed away last year, especially for those who passed away under the scourge of COVID-19. Please be seated. I'll go over the meeting rules in a minute, but in case you haven't heard, the 2021 Vermont Legislature adjourned for the year on Friday, and with us for a brief, and I mean brief, synopsis of what happened is our state representative from the town of Guilford. Please give a warm Vernon welcome to Sarah Coffey.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay? I'm going to have to speak as loud as Tim, I think. How's that? Okay. So, hello, everybody. It's wonderful to see you in 3 dimensions. I've heard from so many of you over the last year, and what a challenging year it has been. But I'm really thrilled to see you in person and be given the opportunity to share a little bit of an update from the legislature this year. So thank you so much for keeping in touch during this last session. This has been an incredibly challenging 14 months. We will never forget the hundreds of Vermonters who have lost their lives, nor those who are still navigating grief or diminished health. But after 14 months and one of the highest vaccination rates in the country, we are starting to see some light at the end of this tunnel. I've been so proud of the way that Vermonters have come together during this crisis to look out for each other, to care for one another, and to navigate this pandemic and position our state to recover stronger than we came into this crisis. I've been heartened to see the kindness in people during this pandemic, especially here in Vernon, how folks have helped neighbors by making or delivering food, helping someone register for the vaccine, or organizing a fundraiser after someone's home has burned down. I wanted to acknowledge the hard work of all the people who work for the town, the teachers and the volunteers who give their time to serve on the various town boards and to keep our town running. Please join me in a round of applause to thank these folks for helping us in all the work. It's really because of their work that this is a great community to live and work. And so town meeting is one of my favorite traditions, and I know you have a full agenda today, so I promised Tim that I will be brief to give you a brief update from the legislature. The 2021 legislative session is certainly one for the record books, both in terms of meeting from our homes on Zoom and the vast infusion of federal aid that has come to our Green Mountain state due to the global pandemic. In my second term, I was appointed vice chair of the Corrections and Institutions Committee, which is both a policy and a money committee. What's important for you to know is that I worked diligently this session to ensure that the billions of dollars coming into our state were put to immediate and effective use in response to the crisis. In addition, I advocated for numerous high-impact, once-in-a-lifetime investments that will make transformational investments and accelerate recovery with the aim of leaving no Vermonter behind. And Friday was our final day of the session, where we passed a budget that strengthens systems and services that increase health and well-being. The FY22 budget invests $150 million to bring rural broadband and connectivity to our rural communities. It increases affordability and accessibility to childcare. It makes a massive investment in increasing affordable housing stock for low and middle income Vermonters. It prioritizes climate change, clean water, and begins to center racial and social equity in more of our investments. And I'm proud to say that the budget passed on a unanimous roll call vote. I'm very proud of the work that we've accomplished together to address our economic recovery and the health and well-being of our communities, and to build back better. I'll be sharing a detailed end-of-session report via email and sending it to the Vernon News, and it will also be on my website. And as we begin to recover, there'll be work and challenges, but I'm not daunted. And if you need help, please do not hesitate to contact me by email or phone, or to join me at one of my monthly coffee hours. And I'll also be sticking around today for a little while, so if you want to grab me, please feel free. So I just wanted to say thank you, everyone, for sticking together and being kind during this pandemic. It is truly an honor to serve as your state representative in the Vermont Assembly. Thank you. Stay safe, stay well, and enjoy the summer.
Thank you, Representative Coffey. Next, I'd like to introduce Mr. Chris Parker, the Chair of the Select Board. Use the mic, Chris, because this is being telecast live by BCTV. We want to make sure that everybody can hear you today for the live feed and for the recordings that will be on the Vernon website and the Vernon Facebook group in the eons to come. Go ahead, Chris.
All right, thank you everybody for coming. It's a great crowd to see here today. Honestly, we didn't know what to expect given that we had to do everything under COVID restrictions. So I would like to take a second to introduce the Select Board and point out that this Select Board is extremely approachable. They want to hear from you guys. They want to answer questions. So please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us and ask those questions. I think that over the last year, we've worked extremely hard on transparency, making sure that our meetings were recorded, televised, that everybody had access to what was going on under the current board. So please, so we have Sandy Harris, the vice chair, and Jean Carr as the clerk, Jeff Dunkley, and Michael Roop. So we appreciate everything that they do. And next, I'd like to take a second to thank the volunteers that we have in town. We have a number of committees, commissions, different boards that are completely thankless at the end of this. They put a number of hours in, they do a tremendous amount of work, and they get very little in return for that, other than they love Vernon and they want to make sure that it's sustainable and that we're continuing to grow. So we have a lot of members from different volunteer groups and boards here, so please stand up if you volunteer for anything in the town of Vernon, and please recognize those that do make sure that the town is moving forward. All right, thank you. Next, we do have a number from the Vernon Fire Department that's here, and it's been a trying year for them. And they have all stuck it out. They have gone back through training. They've worked with the surrounding towns to be recognized in the mutual aid agreements that we have. They have a strong support staff that has returned. So if the Vernon Fire Department would please stand up and accept some recognition here, as well as their families, because without their families, we would not have a fire department. And finally, we're joined by some members of the Fire Department Advisory Committee, which was put together after the suspension of the fire department in the fall time. And they have worked many, many hours. Some weeks they've met 3 and 4 times a week. And we would like to honor them this afternoon, for everything that they've done to make sure that that fire department is back up and operational. So I'm going to call their names, and if you guys would just come up, please. We have retired Chief David Emery, and I'll read what these plaques say here. With our greatest appreciation, and it lists the name, for your unwavering support and unrelenting guidance that helped in the leading our path to success, you are being honored with much appreciation and gratitude. A local resident was able to make these for us in honor of this group. So we have Chief David Emery. We have Chris LaFlamme. Mary Lynn Sherlin. We have the current Guilford Fire Chief, Jared Bristol. Not joining us today is retired Chief Mike Bacassi from Brattleboro and Jason Voudreau. And he is on vacation, I believe, right? Yeah, lucky. And then we also have, through that committee, we were able to find a new fire chief, and that is Chief Alex Dunkley. We have to say that he has stepped into that role. He's been met with a tremendous amount of support from the returning members and the new members. And I think that Vernon Fire Department is off to a tremendous start. And let's give everybody a round of applause here.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Again, this meeting is being telecast live by Brattleboro Community TV and on YouTube. So again, when you rise to be recognized, we'll direct you to the microphone in the middle of the room and make sure you state your name and speak directly into the microphone so not only we can hear you, but the people at home can hear you as well. To briefly go over the rules of the meeting, Robert's Rules of Order are the basic rules of order for this meeting, except where Vermont law takes precedence. You cannot change Vermont law, but you can change Robert's rules by a 2/3 vote. An article must be moved and seconded by the body and then restated by the moderator before it can be considered, and debate on the article may begin. After I restate the motion, the person that made the motion has the right to speak first in the debate. Articles may have only one amendment at a time associated with them. Amendments to an article likewise may have only one amendment at a time associated with them. After you've spoken once on an article, you won't be recognized a second time until everybody that has a chance to speak does have a chance to speak. Robert's Rules only allows a given speaker to speak twice on a given motion, and today, because we're under COVID rules, we'll limit your speeches to 3 minutes at a whack. Division of the House can be requested by a voter before or after a voice vote. Vermont state law provides for a paper ballot on request of 7 voters, unless the town has made other arrangements, again, before or after a voice vote, or after division of the House. It means the moderator could ask for a voice vote and declare the motion passed. Someone could request a division. We'd require a show of hands, and we'd have to honor the request if the number of people asking for a paper ballot meets the minimum requirements. Debate may be cut off by a motion to move the previous question and a 2/3 vote. All motions, remarks, and discussion must be addressed to the moderator. I'll do my best to recognize you in the order that you raised your hands. It is a little dark in here, but I'll do my best. Your speeches must be confined to the merits of the question. You'll not be allowed to engage in personal attacks on a member of the body or their motives. Vermont state law prohibits considering articles that have not been warned, and we do not have other business today under the COVID regulations. Reconsideration is allowed by Vermont state law until the body has begun working on another article. My role as moderator is to help you accomplish our business. Please raise your hand and ask a question if you don't understand what's going on, or if you think what's happening is wrong for some reason. Please tell me if I'm ruling improperly. You have a right to challenge the moderator's ruling. Only registered voters of the town may vote on this question. Is there anybody who's not a registered voter of this town? If so, raise your hand. Okay, I do see a couple. Thank you. So you would be allowed to speak unless there's objection on behalf of the body, and after that, by a 2/3 vote. This is a special year. We can't do many of the normal things associated with town meeting. Our rule is to discuss and vote the warned items and then go home. I would ask we treat each other with respect and show our neighbors we can conduct our business without the acrimony seen online or heard in public discourse. Articles number 1, 2, and 3 were decided by ballot back in March. Article number 4, shall the voters authorize the total general fund expenditures for operating expense of $1,962,032.55, of which $1,642,632.55 shall be raised by taxes, $282,500 by estimated income, and $36,900 to be carried over from FY 2021. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Parker.
I move that the voters authorize the total general fund expenditure for operating expenses of $1,962,032.55, of which $1,642,632.55 shall be raised by taxes, $282,500 by estimated income, and $36,900 to be carried over from fiscal year 2021.
Moved and seconded that the voters authorize the total general fund expenditure for operating expense of $1,962,032.55, of which $1,642,632.55 shall be raised by taxes, $282,500 from estimated income, $36,900 to be carried over from FY 2021. Mr. Parker, do you wish to speak to your motion?
Yes, Mr. Moderator.
Go ahead, please.
We all know that this has been a tough and trying year for sure. This budget affects every aspect of our town. We took a long time and looked over the budget to make sure that anything that could be carried over out of our budget was carried over. That's where the $36,900 is coming from. It's been a tough year. Every employee for the town of Vernon has worked extremely hard. A number of people have stepped up to make sure that there's been some sense of normalcy here, whether it be through parades or just something, so that the town could come together. So that's all that I have to say about this. I hope that we can get through today and all remain neighbors on the other side.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Is there a debate on Article number 4? Please raise your hand to be recognized and raise your voter card. Seeing none, going once, going twice. You've heard Article number 4 as read. Please, all those in favor of passing Article 4, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You passed Article number 4. Article number 5. Shall the voters appropriate a total library fund expenditure of $91,105 to be raised by taxes for administration of the Vernon Free Library? Is there a motion on the floor? Please go ahead, Mrs. Lockever.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move a total library fund expenditure. I'm Ronald Lockever.
Thank you.
I move a total library fund expenditure of $91,105 to be raised by taxes for administration of the Vernon Free Library.
We have a second. Second. Moved and seconded that the town move total library fund expenditure of $91,105 to be raised by taxes for administration of the Vernon Free Library. Mrs. Lockever, do you wish to speak to your motion?
Yes, sir.
Please go ahead.
Recently, I found a chapter about libraries in a graphic book called Art Matters by Neil Gaiman and Chris Riddell, in which they said, libraries are about freedom. Freedom to read, freedom of ideas, freedom of communication. They are about education, about entertainment, about safe spaces, and about access to information. A library is a place of safety, a haven from the world. We need to teach our children to read and to enjoy reading. We need libraries. We have an obligation to support libraries. If you do not value libraries, you are silencing the voices of the past, and you are damaging the future. Now, I'm going to cut that quote short since I only have 3 minutes. Now, I'm not only a fan of libraries, I'm a fan of our Vernon Free Library. It is more than books and shelves and computers.
start from the beginning. This past year of pandemic has been hard on all of us. We haven't been able to do the things we were used to doing, going to the rec, the pool, the library, the town office, or even having town meetings as usual in the first week of March. Nevertheless, we made it through. We learned a lot, we took care of each other, we wore masks, and we physically distanced in public places. We washed our hands, and we used the library's curbside service. Jean and Beth kept the library's collections available to us and kept us supplied with the books we love, whether old or new, from the collection or with books through the interlibrary loan service. This year, on behalf of us, the library patrons, Jean purchased 572 adult fiction books, 70 adult nonfiction books, 220 young adult and juvenile books, 160 picture books for children. This year we used curbside pickup, the service 930 times, checking out more than 2,200 books, DVDs, and audiobooks from our collection. This year Jean requested 156 interlibrary loan books, DVDs, and audiobooks for us, and sent 325 of our books to other Vermont libraries. In addition to hardcover books, or paper books, we checked out 340 ebooks and 870 downloadable audiobooks from Libby Overdrive. The library's, that scared me, the library's digital library service. In addition, the area covered by the library's Wi-Fi service became a hotspot that was more than double. So if we needed to, we could sit on this parking lot where we're sitting now, or even at the gazebo and access the internet. Like you, we trustees are frustrated at not being able to browse the young adult, audiobook, biology, and young children's collections in person. With more and more of us becoming fully vaccinated each month, we plan to have the library open in person very soon. That is our hope. And if you look at our agendas, every month it's like reopening. And we're wondering, when can we do this? And we're hoping now very soon. We'll do it safely, slowly, most likely with time appointments for individuals and families a couple of days a week. We ask that you support this budget so that the library can continue to serve us all. And now, Mr. Moderator, I wish to give the mic to Jean Carr to answer any other questions that folks may have.
Thank you, Ms. Lockhart. In fact, does anyone have any questions or comments on the library budget? Do I see any hands? Gosh, I do not. If that is the case, the motion on the floor is that the voters appropriate a total library fund expenditure of $91,105 to be raised by taxes for administration of the Vernon Free Library. All those in favor of Article 5, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You passed Article 5. Article 6, to elect a library trustee to fill the unexpired term of 1 year through town meeting March of 2022. Ms. Lockhart.
I nominate Kristen Bratton to fill the unexpired term of 1 year through town meeting on March of 2022.
Do we have a second? Any other nominations for the position of library trustee to fill an unexpired 1-year term through March of 2022? Seeing none, all those in favor of Kristen Bratton, please say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You have passed Article 6 and elected Kristen Bratton. Article 7, to elect a library trustee to fill an unexpired term of 1 year through March of 2022. Ms. Lockever. Is there a second? Moved and seconded to nominate Ellen Hardy to fill the unexpired term of 1 year through town meeting March of 2022. Any further nominations? Seeing none, all those in favor of Ellen Hardy, please say aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You passed Ellen Hardy. Article 8, to elect a library trustee to fill the term of 3 years through town meeting March of 2024. Is there a motion on the floor? And here she comes. Please state your name. Is there a second? Moved and seconded to nominate Ian Heffley for the position of library term, fill a 3-year term through town meeting March of 24. Any other nominations? Seeing none, all those in favor of Ian Heffley, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Ian Heffley has been elected library trustee. Article 9, to elect a library trustee to fill the term of 3 years through town meeting March of 2024. Ms. Hardy.
We ask to elect a library trustee to fill the term of 3 years through, yes. I nominate Ron Lockever to fill the term of 3 years through town meeting of March 2024.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded that Ron Lockever be nominated to fill the term of 3 years of library trustee through town meeting 2024. Any other nominations? Seeing none, all those in favor of Brattleboro Lockever, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You have elected Brana Zlockever. As soon as I turn the page here to Article number 10. Article 10 is to elect a Marsh Fund Committee. Is there a motion? Mrs. Carr.
Mr. Moderator, I move that we appoint James Brown and Sandra Harris to the Marsh Fund Committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, we appoint James Brown and Sandra Harris to the Marsh Fund Committee. Any other nominations or discussion on the nominations? Seeing none, all those in favor of James Brown and Sandra Harris for the Marsh Fund Committee, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You passed Article 10. Article 11, to elect a Memorial Day Committee. Is there a motion? Ms. Carr.
Mr. Moderator, I move that we appoint Peter and Angela Miller to the Memorial Day Committee.
Second.
Moved and seconded, we appoint Peter and Angela Miller to the Memorial Day Committee. Any other nominations? Seeing none, all those in favor of Peter and Angela Miller, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You have passed Article number 11. Article 12, shall the voters appropriate $160,000 and make $160,974 for the funding of items approved in the capital plan, of which $37,005 is to be raised by taxes. Is there a motion? Ms. Carr.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the voters appropriate $160,974 for the funding of items in the capital plan, of which $37,005 is to be raised by taxes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded that the voters appropriate $160,974 for the funding of items approved in the capital plan, of which $37,005 is to be raised by taxes. Ms. Carr, do you wish to speak to your motion?
I would like to thank the Capital Plan Committee on behalf of the Select Board for all their work, and that includes Linda Staropinski, Tom Rappaport, Kate Baldwin, Joyce Goodnow, and Sandra Rulowich. And I would like to ask Tom Rappaport if he would like to speak to the plan.
Mr. Rappaport, you've been recognized if you so choose.
First of all, there were a few changes to the overall capital plan projections since last year, and the total amount needed to fund the items in the capital plan this year has decreased slightly from the previous year. It's important to note that of the $246,000 and some dollars needed to fund all the items in the capital plan this year, less than one-sixth of that total is actually being raised from taxes. The rest comes from investment income and funds that are already in the capital fund and also funds in the emergency capital fund. So
We want you to speak up, Tom.
okay, thank you. Lastly, the town of Vernon recently took an important step that I want to acknowledge. They hired an engineering firm to evaluate the condition of all town-owned buildings and related sites, and that resulted in a detailed report that includes a recommended maintenance plan and schedule for each facility. The department heads and select board can now use that information in the report to evaluate maintenance and replacement needs and can significantly lessen the likelihood of having to deal with a large unexpected expense on an emergency basis. So I think that was a move well made. And on behalf of the Capital Plan Committee, we thank the select board for doing that.
Thank you. Further discussion on Article number 12. Any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is that the voters appropriate $160,974 for the funding of items approved in the capital plan, of which $37,005 is to be raised by taxes. All those in favor of Article 12 as read, please say aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You've passed Article 12 as read. Article 13. Shall the voters appropriate $108,000 for municipal refuse, townwide recycling, and compost disposal to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established solid waste fund? Is there a motion? Ms. Carr.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the voters appropriate $108,000 for municipal refuge, townwide recycling, and compost disposal to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established solid waste fund.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded, the voters appropriate $108,000 for municipal refuse, townwide recycling, and compost disposal to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established solid waste fund. Do you wish to speak to your motion? Is there anyone from the Solid Waste Committee who wishes to come forward and speak to the motion? I really don't see anybody rushing to grab the microphone. Any further discussion on Article number 13? Right there, please go to a microphone and state your name and state your business.
Faith Jobin. I was wondering if we're going to have the cow back or if it's going to be curbside.
The select board and or anybody else that knows is queried.
As far as the cow, the quick answer to that is no. The state found, through discussions with the state, it was found to be operating outside of the guidelines and could no longer be there. So that's not going to be a thing. The curbside, it did go out to bid, I believe, to Triple T, and they did not want to pick up curbside. I hesitate to say 100% on that, but I do believe that that was the outcome of that when the bid was sent out. Without having that in front of me, Faith, I apologize.
Further discussion on Article number 13. You need to come to a microphone before you can be recognized. Thank you so much.
Hi, Nancy Barrington. I guess my question is, if we're paying all this money, it's supposed to include composting, where do we compost? And how do we handle that? And how much of the funds is involved in composting if we can't use it?
The select board and/or interim town administrator was queried. Mr. Parker.
Yeah. I don't have a good response for this. I mean, this is a law that was passed up in Montpelier, and there is no assistance from Montpelier for towns on this. They say that we have to do this compost, we have to do these things, and then they don't even meet us halfway on this. So I wish that I had a good answer on how we're going to get out of this. I know that there is some private organizations that have stepped in. I believe they're out of Guilford. They bring around buckets, and there's been a number of people that have participated in that. Some people have moved to backyard composting, and I'm going to sit here and tell you that you can't put it in your trash, but some people have moved back to that. And there is the potential to drop off at Wyndham Solid Waste, and we recognize that that means you have to put it in your car and get it there. There is no simple answer to any of this. Unfortunately, they send it down on us, and we have to sit here and tell you that you should do this. But I really wish I had a better answer for you, and unfortunately, I do not.
Okay, we see numerous hands. I see the one gentleman in the back of the room first, and you next, and then you third. Please state your name.
Get on the footprints first. George Pond. I'm not too sure, but I'm pretty sure, because I am a Facebooker. There was a person on Facebook that was throwing out an advertisement for compost collection. I believe it was for like $35 a month, and they would furnish a container. Now, if somebody knows who that person is, I don't know who it is. I just saw it. That's how I know about it. And, maybe if somebody knows about who this person is, maybe they could contact this person, and that person might be interested in helping a town-wide thing for a numerous price. But I don't know who it is, Chris. I see you looking at me. Don't do that.
Mr. Parker, you were queried, so please continue.
I have to apologize and say that I missed part of that because I was speaking to the treasurer. It appears that this may have been misrepresented here, but the funds here do not actually directly go to any compost. They go to curbside trash removal and curbside recycling. So the portion that speaks to compost in here should not be in here. So the 108,000 is for your curbside trash and your curbside recycling, nothing to do with compost.
Okay, there was another gentleman who waved his hand over here. Oh, before that, we will recognize the treasurer, Mrs. Turnley. I believe your mic is on. Yep, it is.
Cindy Turnley, Town Treasurer. It is for municipal building trash pickup, and it is for curbside recycling. It is not for residential trash pickup. That that is done through pay-as-you-throw. I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. And could you remind me what the other query was, please, from Mr. Pond?
He was asking if I read Mr. Pond's mind, which I haven't been accused of being a mind reader in my life. He was asking who the person is that is doing the by contract residential compost pickup.
I would have to get that for you. They have been on the Vernon Facebook page. If anybody is utilizing them, please tell me what the name of them is. Yeah, I can't. Off the top of my head, I'm sorry, George. I'll get you that answer by the end of today. They have been on the Vernon page offering to do that. They bring a bucket around, you fill the bucket, they pick it up, and they give you a new bucket.
Ms. Lockever.
I don't use them, but I believe they are called the cycle of life.
Yes, you are correct. Thank you. The cycle of life.
Further discussion from anybody who has not spoken yet, and you have spoken once already, Mr. Pond. Did I see somebody over here? And you've spoken once already? Okay. Then after him, you get to speak.
Ken Bloom. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't being taxed or budgeted for composting.
Okay. You, sir.
Munson Hicks. This is just clarification indirectly about this. You may, if you home compost, then you may put the non-compostable items in the trash. And that's by state law.
You need to turn the mic on, Mrs. Harris, because I cannot hear a thing you're saying.
Mr. Moderator.
Well,
he turned it on.
Okay, go ahead, but I am having problems hearing the speakers from back here.
I move that we amend the motion to read the following: that the voters appropriate $108,000 for municipal refuse and townwide recycling to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established solid waste fund.
Do we have a second? The motion has been is in the process of being amended to say that the voters appropriate $108,000 for municipal refuse, townwide recycling, to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established solid waste fund. Any discussion on the amendment? Back of the room, please come to the microphone.
Heather Frost. My understanding is this is just for municipal refuse. And is this also just for municipal recycling? It's townwide recycling?
Yes, townwide.
So it's municipal and townwide recycling. So it's
Correct.
trash, okay. Thank you.
Further discussion on the Harris amendment? Seeing none, the amendment would read that the voters appropriate $108,000 for municipal refuse and townwide recycling to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established solid waste fund. All those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. The motion as amended now reads that the voters appropriate $108,000 for municipal refuse and townwide recycling to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established solid waste fund. Further discussion on the article as amended? And seeing none, all those in favor of Article 13 as amended, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it, and you have passed Article 13. Article 14. Shall the voters appropriate $14,518,000 for the Wyndham Solid Waste District Assessment to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established Solid Waste Fund? Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Parker.
I move that the voters appropriate $14,518 for the Wyndham Solid Waste District assessment to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established solid waste fund.
Moved and seconded that the voters appropriate $14,518 for the Wyndham Solid Waste District assessment to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established solid waste fund. Mr. Parker, do you wish to speak to your motion? Any discussion on Article 14? Seeing none. In fact, I do see you, sir, in the front row. Please go to a microphone. Or the microphone, that is.
Dean Wayman. Just had a question. What does this cover? What is the assessment? What's that? What comprises the assessment?
The select board is queried. Ms. Carr.
This assessment is, I know that because we're in the district, we have this assessment, and it's actually even more costly if you were to take your town out of that district. But it does cover the hazardous waste disposal days, which happen at various places in the district, and being part of the district, you're always welcome to go if it's off in another town, that you can take part in that. It also affords us some of the educational activities from the district, which they've done some composting education. Some of the members up at the district have looked into our pay-as-you-throw program and helped us do some analysis of that. So there's probably more behind the scenes that you're not seeing, but the hazardous waste days are pretty significant. So that's what we get. And it's actually, I think it dropped this year from last year.
Further discussion on Article 14. And seeing none, we're ready for a vote. The motion is that the voters appropriate $14,518 for the Wyndham Solid Waste District assessment to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established solid waste fund. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. And you've passed Article 14. Article 15, shall the town continue the pay-as-you-throw program for residential trash collection? Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Parker.
I move that the town continue the pay-as-you-throw program for residential trash collection.
Moved and seconded, the town continue the pay-as-you-throw program for residential trash collection. Mr. Parker.
I don't have much to say other than I do not support this. I think that there's a lot of people that are utilizing their own services, and this cost continues to climb. So,
any further discussion on Article number 15? Okay, in the front of the room, then in the back of the room. Mr. Wayman, please go to the mic.
Just a comment. I think the pay-as-you-go is a good way to go. I'd like to see them have some more substantial bags. The bags are very flimsy.
Thank you, Mr. Wayman. Gentlemen in the back of the room, please step up. Mr. Pond.
George Pond. I personally don't support this amendment either. It seems like every year when it comes around to talk about this, it seems like we always have to raise money to make the difference of what we didn't collect from pay-as-you-throw. And it would almost seem like the money that we have to raise in difference to the pay-as-you-throw bag costs seems to probably would come up to somewhere about, and Cindy Turnley might be able to tell me, it might come up somewhere about to what it would cost us to go back the old way, do away with those bags, and pay the price of per 100 pound per capita. That way, if you want to have your own private service, have your own private service. I mean, I personally, I don't buy pay-as-you-throw bags. I have a gift that I'm able to put my trash to. But if they went back the old way where each household paid their own fair share, whether you choose to do it the other way or not, probably might only come up to maybe $3 or $4 per household to equal. Now, the only other thing that would probably happen is, I don't know if Mr. Mallory is here or not. Is he here?
I have not seen him in the crowd, sir.
Okay, well, that might be a problem then. Because, you know, we're going to have to raise money to pay for this last year. The difference of what we didn't raise for pay-as-you-throw. If we do away with that, first of all, we're not going to buy bags and pay money out for the bags. Second of all, everybody has the option. Just like everybody has the option now. But it just seems like every year we go round and round, and every year there's a new rule, and there might even be new rules this year, but we can go back the other way to do away with the pay-as-you-throw and pay the price per 100 pounds. And what that would probably have to happen is next year we would probably have to pay for this year, because we don't know how much garbage or trash we're going to have out there for the next year ahead, unless Mr. Mallory was willing to set down a blanket price to the town of Vernon of, this is what the average is, so this is the average that we'll charge you.
Yes, Mrs. Carr, you have the floor as a response.
Okay.
to query.
The state has mandated that town taxes cannot pay for curbside trash pickup. And we have a lot of people that are actually keeping very close tabs on the fact that the sales of the pay-as-you-throw bags need to pay for what it costs to dispose of that trash. So that program should be a wash, and it's at the point now where it has been, and the town treasurer could speak to that also. And, you know, we're trying to keep it that way. It had a little bit of a rough start because of initially purchasing all the bags we had to have initially, and we've gotten that under control and adjusted, so now that program needs to support itself. So the trash you produce, you're going to pay for, whether it's with the bags, whether you get your own private hauler, however. And like I said, there's many people that are keeping close eye on how that is working to be sure that that does not go into the red.
Okay, we saw a hand up from Mr. Kosis in the back of the room. Mr. Dio, could you get Mr. Kosis a microphone? Okay, all right. And by the way, thank you to Jackson Emery, the fourth generation of Emerys that I know of, who's handling the microphones. Right over there, sir. Okay, no, just hand him the microphone.
Thanks, is it on? Well, first, as far as this pay-as-you-go situation, if I'm wrong, Select Board, we are in a deficit of what, $7,000 or $8,000 for last year already still, or are we even at this point with pay-as-you-throw?
Select Board is queried, or Mrs. Turnley?
Or Treasurer?
Cindy?
Cindy Turnley, Town Treasurer. No, we are not even. We are still in the red.
Okay, so now we've got mandatory composting. We have recycling program that we're already paying for. What's left to go in the bags that has to do with this pay-as-you-throw? I think this is, out of the gate, this is a loser. You're not going to have enough trash to throw in these bags to actually make it net zero. It's always going to be a loser. I would recommend we vote this down and get some fiscal sense in this town. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion, the gentleman holding his hand up.
Munson Hicks, just a quick query first. How many bags do we have ready to sell? Because the reason I'm asking is that if you, we buy those bags for about 5 cents, and we sell them for $5. So the net, if you will get rid of the system, and we have all those bags left over, you're losing the $5 times how many bags are still available, which used to be probably 50 cartons of them. I don't know how it's come since, but when I was on the committee, we had about $100,000 worth of inventory that would create money. If you get rid of the system, you're going to throw it's going to cost you to get rid of the bags. They're going to have to go in the trash somehow, and you're going to lose the $100,000.
The select board was queried, or Mr. Parker, or Mrs. Turnley. Go ahead, Cindy.
I'm sorry, could you explain the question to me again? I don't know. Tim is in charge of inventory. I don't have access to that.
I could go count them now, but we'd delay the meeting till I came back.
I'm willing to wait. But I would assume that it is still substantial, that we still have a substantial inventory to be used.
And 25 of the small rolls?
Yes, roughly, my last inventory down there, we still have 50 large boxes of rolls and roughly 25 to 30 small boxes of rolls.
Boxes of rolls, not rolls.
Correct.
And there's
50 rolls in a box.
So you got 50 times 50, 250 times 5. That's thousands of dollars that are ready to be earned by the town, which you won't get if you get rid of the system and spend the money to get rid of the bags.
Further discussion, there was a lady who was raising her hand or voter card way back in the corner. If you want to come over and grab the microphone, ma'am, or we can send the microphone to you right there.
All right, Jessica Freeman. I am in favor of the pay-as-you-throw. I've had at least one kid in diapers for the last 6 years. And the thought of saving up that trash and then putting it in my car and hauling it to Old Ferry Road is not super desirable, nor is having a dumpster in my yard that my other children will definitely want to play on. So if we need to raise the price of the pay-as-you-throw bags, personally, that would be a cost I would be willing to incur. Obviously, not my first choice, but I still think having a town-wide pay-as-you-throw system is better than each household having to figure out a way to dispose of their trash, and also the senior citizens or the young families in our town that may not have an option to bring their trash someplace else. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion on the article. Again, the article is that the town continue the pay-as-you-throw program for residential trash collection. Mr. Pond, have you already spoken on the article? Yep. You can speak for a second time. Come on up.
I think I was speaking about doing away with pay-as-you-throw, but I was not speaking of doing away with curbside pickup. So your diapers would be well maintained and took care of. The other thing is, Mr. Hicks spoke about the money that would be wasted on the bags. Now, if we set aside so much money per budget year and left it there for curbside pickup and continued to sell the bags until the bags were gone and use that dollar value use, like, for instance, 200,000. Use what's left to make up the difference of the curbside. Still sell the bags. And then when they're gone, they're gone. And then go back to no pay-as-you-throw, just curbside pickup per 100 pounds. But Mr. Mallory's not here, so he can't really help address this situation.
The select board wishes to respond. Ms. Harris.
George, that would be nice, but it's illegal for us to do that the way we used to do it. The state won't allow it.
How's that?
They said we couldn't offer curbside pickup unless we do it pay-as-you-throw. That's why we went to pay-as-you-throw.
So we have to pay-as-you-throw? Or you have to do away with everything?
We have a number of people with their cards up. You, sir, over here have not spoken on the question. Mr. Kostas will get to you and afterwards. Please go to the microphone.
Don Rosinski. Actually, I think I'm kind of on the pay-as-you-throw committee. The problem with this pay-as-you-throw issue is it was let out of the gate before the town had all its ducks in a row to start it off the right way. So we started out behind the 8 ball right from the get-go. But looking to find something else, you may as well look in a haystack for a needle. Because as Mrs. Freeman said, you know, we've got younger people, younger families, we have older people, and to try and do what George is talking about is mission impossible. We have a program in order. I think it's caught up better than it has been. Problem being, we've pounded into people so much about recycling and the rules with composting that have been put on us by the state. It's like we've got an over inventory of bags because people just aren't, they're so good at recycling now that they're not using the bags they used to use. And so being so good at it, we've kind of hurt ourselves in a way. But I would suggest that we continue with what we have and not get overzealous in purchasing bags in advance. Because sitting on the amount of bags we have now, I personally can't see how it got to that point. Severe case of overkill from what I'm seeing. And I'm only speaking on what I've seen. If we try and do anything else, those of us who have our own, and I know there's at least one in my neighborhood, their own dumpsters, it's going to kind of infringe on them because, well, we're going to have to make everybody pay. And nobody ever pays their fair share. You got a family of 6 down the road, they're going to throw more trash than my wife and I throw. And yet, how do you evenly distribute that expense? Pay as you throw is the best way to go. Thank you.
Chair would recognize Mr. Kostas in the back of the room for the second time.
Thank you. I think Don had a great point. This program, as the town has an over inventory of bags, in the name of compromise, could the folks that want this program, can the town liquidate, be done with their inventory of bags, and then somehow buy these online? So if those folks want to put diapers, they can buy 20 bags by themselves and get the town out of it. So we're not taking taxpayer money for this, because like Don said, I have a dumpster. My stuff is taken care of. It's what I do. It's what I'd prefer to have. But this program, as it stands with the state mandates, it will never be, if you're buying $100,000 worth of bags at a time, you're not going to use enough of those bags. You're always going to be in a deficit because you're always going to have that inventory on hand. You're not letting yourself go to zero and then buy more. So if we let the bags inventory sunset a bit and then somehow get people to buy online, get their own, if they want bags, buy them, that's fine. and then make a program that way so those of us who already pay for our rubbish and our refuse are not getting double dipped on this one. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Further discussion on Article 14. Hold on. Try to look out of both sides of my eyes here. Okay, gentleman over here, then you second. And make sure we use the microphone.
Hi, it's Gregory Corcoran. I just wanted to say that it's obviously a complicated issue that's been going on for a while. We need state support on the compost. We need to figure out the long-term plan. But I just wanted to caution against eliminating things that have issues rather than trying to think about it and take a step back. You know, the town's eliminated things before, police, and we end up getting less value for the money in the long run if we don't plan it the right way. So I think if you eliminate the pay-as-you-throw, you're making it very hard for senior citizens who are just throwing away a little trash. It's really the only way to equally distribute it, in my opinion. And it's only 5 cents a bag that we pay. I don't think we're paying $5 ahead of time to buy the plastic bags. So I don't think that's a relative point. But I just wanted to really say if we need to look at it again, then we do, but we shouldn't just eliminate something and then be stuck with the consequences. So thank you.
Okay, there was a lady on this side of the room. There's a wireless over there.
Norma Manning. I raised 4 children here, and we came here because there was work. And I think that the state as a whole is looking towards keeping young families and people in our small towns and our rural communities to fill jobs that they're planning on bringing to the state. I think it behooves us to not do anything that further burdens young people that want to be in this community. And secondly, I have hiked a lot of these hills, and I have been stunned at how remarkably clean and picked up these trails are. There's an occasional couch out there, a bumper of some car, other parts to four-wheelers that got left behind. But I think that we are doing a great job here, and I would be hesitant to change course on something that appears to be working.
Motion has been made to cease debate. Is there a second? All those in favor of ceasing debate, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The debate has been ceased. The question is that the town continue the pay-as-you-throw program for residential trash collection. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You have passed Article 15. Article 16, shall the voters authorize the town to dissolve the pay-as-you-throw fund and cover negative expenditures from the solid waste fund? Mr. Parker. Actually, you do have, if you're skipping that one, I would need a motion to object to consideration of the motion.
Make a motion to pass over.
Moved and seconded, we pass over Article 16. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. You passed over Article 16. Thank you for following procedure. Article 17, shall the town continue curbside recycling for residential customers? Mr. Parker.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town continue curbside recycling for residential customers.
Moved and seconded, the town continue curbside recycling for residential customers. Mr. Parker, do you wish to speak to your motion? Any discussion on Article 17? Please go to the microphone.
Faith Jobin. I live in the Brown House. I have contacted Mr. Parker because several times Triple T has skipped me. Several times they've skipped my neighbor. I don't know why. My recycling bins are out there. I called Triple T. It's very frustrating when they skip me and they don't come back and pick it up. So what can be done about it? It's paid for. I'd like to know.
The board is queried. Mr. Parker.
We have other residents that have been skipped over and speak very highly about the fact that Triple T comes back out for it. So as far as what can be done about it, I mean, you can call them, I can call them, and if they don't come back for it, I'm not really sure. I mean, what would you like us to do, Faith?
I would like it to get picked up.
Please, if you would.
I am told I need to recycle. I purposely recycle. I put it out there. It doesn't get picked up. Why should I recycle? If it doesn't get picked up, what's the point? You tell me.
Mr. Parker.
I'm not sure how to help you here. I mean, I don't support either of these programs. I think that what we make at our own houses is our responsibility to get rid of. So I can call Triple T the same way that you can call, but I feel that the outcome is going to be the same because we have, again, other residents who are saying that the response is very great, that they're coming back out. They're picking up the recycling if it's been missed. So I don't know how I can help you with this one, Faith. I apologize.
Further discussion on Article 17. Is there a second? All those in favor of ceasing debate, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. The retaining question is that the town continue curbside recycling for residential customers. All those in favor of Article 17, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You've passed Article 17. Article 18, shall the voters appropriate $25,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the Professional Services Fund. Is there a motion? Mr. Dunkley.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the voters appropriate $25,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the Professional Services Fund.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded, the voters appropriate $25,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the Professional Services Fund. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
No, I'm good, Mr. Moderator.
I'm glad. Any discussion on Article 18? Seeing none, all those in favor, oh, I see a card over here. Please stand up and get to the microphone. Wave that card in case I don't see you right away, Mr. Rosinski.
With your vision.
Yeah, it's old eyes.
This is just a question. What does this cover? And has there been residuals left in this account in the past?
The board is queried.
Don, I think primarily it's in the past it's been used for legal funding for attorneys when dealing with tax grievances or negotiations with the utilities. Primarily, that's his primary function is legal assistance.
Thank you. In the back of the room, Ms. Lockever.
Just another question also. How much is there in this fund? Is it a fund that accrues every year and adds to it? How much is in the fund already?
The board or the treasurer is queried.
I would defer to the treasurer, please.
Mrs. Turnley.
Cindy Turnley, Town Treasurer. She's asking what is in the fund right now?
Yes.
Okay, one moment. Currently, the fund has $212,808.55.
Further discussion on Article 18. In the front of the room, Mr. Wayman.
With the balance that is there, are we planning to spend a significant amount this year that we need this extra $25,000.
The board is queried.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Parker.
With everything that's going on with the hydro dam, the VY site, all of those things, it's important to have this money here for any legal services that may be needed, any lawsuits that may come out of that. So that's what the purpose of the replenishment of that is. Is there anything slated to come out of that? No, but we'd be in a lot more trouble if we were not prepared for what could be coming down the pike with everything that's happening across the street here.
Further discussion on the article? Yeah.
Martin Langeveld. I'm a member of the Planning Commission, and I would like to point out that besides legal costs relating to tax negotiations, this fund last year at the annual meeting was repurposed, or an additional purpose was added to it, which is to fund economic development activities relating to the VY site and potentially other places. VY site is slated to be finished decommissioning in 2026. The Planning Commission is already working and talking about how to redevelop that site, and there certainly will be planning costs, legal costs, all kinds of costs relating to creating a plan that would redevelop that site, create jobs, and most importantly for the town, create a new tax base for that site. So I don't think we can skimp on funding this account. It's better to have the money in there. If everything goes swimmingly and we get the site redeveloped, well, maybe we can stop funding it for a while, but it's important that we do that.
Thank you. Further discussion on article number 18. Mr. Kosis in the back, please get him a microphone. Give me a motion. We're going to stand in recess until we see this pass, okay? Thank you. We're in recess.
I guess not. We'll do it later.
Well, I think we will. Help over there. Holy Jesus. I know. This is the pop-up. like it's just a quick pass. It looks like this is just a quick passing event. It should be done soon, and then we'll continue once it calms down a little bit. We're going to give it about 10 minutes and then we'll start up again. you could take your seats, we're going to try to get this back underway again. Please take your seats. We're going to try to resume. We are back underway in the middle of discussion on Article number 18. Again, the article was that the voters appropriate $25,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the Professional Service Fund. Any further discussion on the article? Mr. Pond.
I would query Mrs. Turnley. I would wonder, you said there was like $200 and something thousand left in this fund. Could you tell me or tell us how much was spent last year and how much was spent the year before last?
Mrs. Turnley is queried on the question. She's looking it up, George.
Cindy Turnley, Town Treasurer. What has been spent so far? This year is $44,658.09. And the year before that, it doesn't look like there was anything spent out of it. And the year before that, there was $39,940.63.
Thank you. My issue is, it's nice that we have 200 and some odd, and like Mr. Dunkley said, and Chris said, and everybody, there are things coming around. But we've been going through this decommission thing here for a few years. This last year has been tough on a lot of people. Some people were more fortunate than others, but I think we ought to vote no to this bill and, let it go. And if we need it next year when people are a little bit better off than they might have been this year, go back to it.
Further discussion, Mr. Kosis?
I agree.
Any further discussion on Article number 18? Seeing none, the recurring question is that the voters appropriate $25,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the Professional Services Fund. All those in favor of Article 18 as read, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Nay. The chair is in doubt. We could use a couple of BCA members to take the division. All those in favor of the article, please raise your voter cards. Can somebody get that side of the room, please? I don't know. Is Mary Lynn? And here, one more. Let me know when you've counted everybody. Yeah. Right on there, please. Okay. All right, put your voter cards down. All those against, put your voter cards up.
right underneath that.
Please listen to the results of your vote. On Article number 18, voting yes, 35, no, 27. I declare the article has been approved. We go to Article 19. Shall the voters appropriate the... What? Cindy? What's that? It was passed. Again, it was passed. 35 yes, 27 no. Article 19. Shall the voters appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the Emergency Repair Replacement Fund? Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Dunkley.
I move that the voters appropriate $10,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the Emergency Repair Replacement Fund.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. The voters appropriate $10,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the Emergency Repair Replacement Fund. Do you wish to speak to your motion? Discussion on Article 19. Back of the room, Mr. Kosis, if we can get a microphone over to him.
In this emergency replacement fund, how much is currently in that account?
Mrs. Turnley?
Cindy Turnley, Town Treasurer. There's $10,000 in the fund that was voted for last year, and nothing has been spent.
Select Board, is there anything on the horizon that needs to be replaced for that $10,000 you're asking for?
Select Board is queried. Ms. Carr?
It's an emergency fund, so it's for unanticipated emergencies.
Okay, wouldn't that be covered in the specific department's, fiscal year budget already for any kind of?
No, there's no money in each department, but if they were to spend out of this fund for an emergency, then the following year, that department would have to budget for it and put it back in.
Okay, so we've got $10,000 in the account, nothing spent last year. Historically, what do we typically, is $10,000 enough? Should we put more in it? Or is $10,000, it seems like a kind of a funny number. If it's only $10,000, nothing was spent last year, can we just let that ride for this year and take a look next year? Like this nice gentleman said here, things are kind of tough. Every penny we don't have to spend in property tax is helpful. So can we forego this $10,000? Last year's money's still there. So I like to see this be tabled and not voted upon with a positive approval.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion on the article? Please use a microphone, Faith. You're live on TV, and you have a lovely voice. People want to hear it.
Cindy, did you say it was spent last year?
Mrs. Turnley?
Cindy Turnley, Town Treasurer. No, there was nothing spent out of it last year.
Okay, so I misheard. Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion on Article 19? Seeing none, the motion is that the voters appropriate $10,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the Emergency Repair Replacement Fund. All those in favor of the article, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Nay. The chair is in doubt. Call for division of the House. All those in favor of the article, please raise your voter card. We need somebody to count on this side of the room. actually, no, that's before. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, put your cards down. All those opposed, please put your cards up. Sue, behind you as well. Okay. I figured you did. You should go here, right there. And right there. Listen now to the results of your vote. Voting on Article number 19, voting yes 34, no 30. I declare the article has been passed. Article 20, shall the voters appropriate $100,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the town road upgrading fund? Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Dunkley.
I move that the voters appropriate $100,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the town road upgrading fund.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, the voters appropriate $100,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the town road upgrading fund. Mr. Dunkley, do you wish to speak to your motion? Discussion on Article 20. Mr. Kosis.
This road upgrade fund, how much is in the fund currently?
Mrs. Turnley is queried.
Cindy Turnley, Town Treasurer. Currently, there is $259,366.45 in the fund.
What was expended last year?
Mrs. Turnley?
I'm looking it up.
Thank you.
$162,221.39 were spent last year.
Okay, thank you. Folks, I know this isn't popular. We love to have our roads beautiful and everything else, but if we keep saying yes to every single expenditure, we're going to find ourselves with a property tax bill that's humongous, and no one's going to want to move here because you're paying $6,000 on a 2-acre lot. Obviously, down the road, this is going to happen, but if we keep saying yes, at some point, with all these accounts pretty well flush for a while, for a year or two, I'd like to ask that we start looking at these situations fiscally and maybe for a year or so, turn them down and let's get some semblance of some responsibility here. Thank you.
Further discussion on Article 20. First, Mr. Pond, and then Mr. Wayman.
George Pond. Every year they ask for $100,000 for the roads. You know, I mean, we are not on the corner of Hollywood and Vine where everything is smooth and comfortable in the way they want it to be. Now, if we got some roads that need a little repair, then why don't they go out there and get a hot box and put some hot tar in it, or get some liquid tar and fill the cracks, instead of spending all that money to repave the whole street or road, patch it. That's a heck of a lot cheaper, and we don't need to be top of the line in Windham County, but it appears that we're pretty well there, but there's no need for us to spend that amount of money to be there. We can patch it, we can fill it, and it's a heck of a lot cheaper, I believe, than $100,000.
Mr. Wayman and then Mr. Walker.
Just a question as to what the road department plans to do this year that would use this fund.
I believe Mr. Walker's in back view and can answer that question.
get a grant from the state, which they'll match 80%, we'll be doing Tyler Hill Road. But also remember, their match of 80% is capped at only $174,000. But if we don't get the grant, we're going to do Stebbins Road. And to George's question, just so you know, in the regular budget, there's only $1,500 for a hot mix, and we usually spend that right up quick.
Further discussion, Article 20. Seeing one more question, one more comment right over there. Mr. Rosinski.
Having retired from that type of work, patching is a Band-Aid. I think the way Dave's been doing it's much better. And if you want any description of that, take a ride up Western Ave in Brattleboro.
Further discussion, Article 20. Seeing none, the recurring question is, shall the voters appropriate $100,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the town road upgrading fund? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it, and you have passed Article 20. Article 21. Shall the voters appropriate $40,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the town culvert fund? Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Dunkley.
I move the voters appropriate $40,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the town culvert fund.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded, the voters appropriate $40,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the town culvert fund. Discussion on the motion. Over here, Mr. Brzezinski.
Question. We just got this big $2 trillion rescue plan that's going to do all kinds of great stuff for infrastructure. Small towns like us, these culverts are infrastructure. Our roads are infrastructure. We don't have sewer and water system to deal with. Is there any way we're going to see a trickle of any of that? By the way, it's a very, very small slice of the pie if any of you have looked at the graph that the feds have got out. Is there any way we're going to get a little trickle of that where we would say, okay, we don't need to raise another $40,000? But you got to understand that all of these culverts now, used to be a time back in the day where you were running a 15-inch culvert across the end of a road or something. Nowadays, with the weather the way it is, you got a 24-inch culvert at the minimum, if not even bigger. In all of your brooks and streams, you can no longer throw a culvert pipe in there. You got to have a box culvert, poured concrete. That's expensive stuff. So I'm just asking if there's any foresight in the future that the president's special plan is going to give us any money.
The select board or Mr. Walker is queried. Mr. Walker.
I haven't heard of any of that trickling down yet. We'll probably be hearing it in a while. Hopefully we do. But just so you know, Don, this is for the box culverts. That's what we're trying to save up for, because all the ones in town.
Thank you. Further discussion, Article 21. Seeing none, the question is that the voters appropriate $40,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the town culvert fund. All those in favor of the article, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You passed to Article 21. Article 22, shall the voters appropriate the sum of $2,500 to be raised by taxes to fund the town parking lots maintenance fund. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Dunkley.
I move that the voters appropriate the sum of $2,500 to be raised by taxes to fund the town parking lots maintenance fund.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, the voters appropriate the sum of $2,500 to be raised by taxes to fund the town parking lot maintenance fund. Select Board or Mr. Walker wish to speak on the question? Mr. Walker?
This is just so we can keep doing, not a Band-Aid, but sealing them over and everything. Seth don't realize it, but I got the quote Friday on what it will be to do the rec, and that will be almost 28,000. And I think there's only something like 68,000 in the fund now. So, that's it.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the article? Seeing none, the motion is that the voters appropriate the sum of $2,500 to be raised by taxes to fund the town parking lot maintenance fund. All those in favor of the article, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You have passed Article 22. Article 23, shall the voters appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established Elderly Assistance Fund. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator,
Mrs. Harris.
I move that the voters appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established Elderly Assistance Fund.
Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded, the voters appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established Elderly Assistance Fund. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
I defer to Mary Lynn Sherlin.
Mary Lynn Sherlin. You have a microphone, ma'am.
I'm good in listening when has questions, specific questions.
If there are questions, in the back of the room, Ms. Lockever.
It's not a question. Brana's Lockever. It's not a question. It's
Okay.
I benefit from this. A number of us in town benefit from this in the winter time. I have a 1/10 of a mile driveway. Most of it is a slope. As someone who is over 65, the town comes up and I sign up for it, and the town comes up and clears it. It is not just for snow removal. This is a mistake we made last year. There are people, senior citizens in this town, who sometimes need ramps or roof repair or other services like that. That's what this fund is for.
Thank you. Further discussion on the article, Mr. Kosis in the back of the room. If you could get him a mic, Mr. Emery.
Again, how much is in this fund?
Mrs. Turnley is queried.
Cindy Turnley, Town Treasurer. There's $37,520 in this fund currently.
And how much was expended last year?
$8,413.50.
Again, nobody is questioning whether those in need don't get what they want. For me, it's a matter of that fund is pretty well flush. It can go a few years without having to be replenished for a while. If you're only taking 8,000 out of it, and you got 36,000 already in there, it can go a couple years. And I'd like to see these accounts maybe drop a little bit and maybe have a little bit more semblance of a reasonable amount in it. I think it can go a couple years and not have to be tapped again this year. Thank you.
Further discussion on Article 23. I can't see anybody. Mary Lynn? As soon as a microphone comes to her, you have the floor. Thank you, Mr. Wayman.
I would say that $33,000 is a lot of money in that fund, and having only spent $8,000-ish last year is not very significant. But we never know what is going to happen. And last year, we primarily did just snow removal. We did have someone that we did some transportation to some medical appointments and some grocery shopping other than that. We also, a few years ago, did a replacement of a septic. And that was more than the $8,000. So there are those things that come along. that you just don't plan for. So one of those things happens, it wouldn't take much to eat up that $30,000. And that would then, we would have to then refuse other requests. So, thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion on Article 23? I can't see. Back of the room.
John Wielden. Marilyn, do you have some projects that are going to be coming up for elderly assistance?
Mary Lynn is queried by Mr. Wielden.
Yes, we've had a recent request that's probably going to run, I'm not exactly sure, but it's probably going to run a couple of $1,000, I'm guessing. I don't have the figures in yet. So that, and it may be more than that. I'm not exactly sure, but we've just had a recent request. I'm waiting for the bids to come back in from that. So, and I don't know of any other new things, but that's a current one.
Thank you. Further discussion, Article 23. Over here, Mr. Brzezinski.
I'm just wondering how many other towns offer this type of elderly assistance. Septic systems? I mean, you know, it just sounds a little bit, you know, if you can't afford to do a septic system, maybe it's time to sell your house or something. And I'm not trying to be mean or cruel. I'm getting up there in years, as many of us are, but I just don't know what is the criteria. You're over 65, go ahead. I need a septic system. I don't have quite enough money to pay for it.
Okay, the deal with the septic system when we did that was we took a lien on the property. The town took a lien on the property, and when you no longer lived in your home and sold it, then you had to pay us back. But that could have been a year, that could have been 10 years. The goal of the Elderly Assistance Board is to allow the seniors in town to remain in their homes so they don't have to go, I don't know, to senior living facilities, and if that's not what is required, if they're still able to live in their homes, is to be able for them to stay in their homes. But they can't financially, you know, afford something like that. So we did take a lien on the home, and then it was several years later when the home was sold, and we did recoup that money, but it was several years later.
Further discussion on Article 23. Question's been called. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. We cease debate on Article 23. All those in favor of ceasing debate, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. We've ceased debate. The recurring question is, do the voters appropriate the sum of $10,000 by taxes to fund the previously established Elderly Assistance Fund? All those in favor of the article, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You passed Article 23. Article 24, shall the voters appropriate the sum of $1,100 to be raised by taxes to fund the Vernon historians for the purpose of records preservation, retention, and promotion of history education initiatives and insurance coverage.
Mr. Moderator,
Mrs. Harris.
I move that the voters appropriate the sum of $1,100 to be raised by taxes to fund the Vernon historians for the purpose of records preservation, retention, and promotion of history educational initiatives and insurance coverage.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded, the voters appropriate the sum of $1,100 to be raised by taxes to fund the Vernon historians for the purpose of records preservation, retention, and promotion of historical education initiatives and insurance coverage. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 24 as read, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You passed Article 24. Article 25, shall the voters appropriate the sum of $7,200 to be raised by taxes to support the following in designated amounts. Visiting Nurse and Hospice of Vermont and New Hampshire, $3,250. SEVCA, $2,100. Healthcare and Rehabilitation Service of Southeastern Vermont, $1,850. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator,
Mrs. Harris.
I move that the voters appropriate the sum of $7,200 to be raised by taxes to support the following. Visiting Nurse and Hospice of Vermont and New Hampshire for $3,250, SEVCA for $2,100, and HRS for $1,850.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded, the voters appropriate the sum of $7,250, actually $7,200, to be raised by taxes to support the following. Visiting Nurse and Hospice of Vermont and New Hampshire for $3,250, SEVCA for $2,100, and HCRS for $1,850. Discussion on the motion. Ms. Jobin.
Faith Jobin. These are all wonderful places. My mom passed away and the visiting nurses came. But I feel that I should be the one to donate from my private money. It shouldn't be my taxes. I just feel that it should be on my own. It shouldn't be something that comes out of my taxes. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Further discussion on Article 25. Ms. Lockever.
I repeat the story I told you all last year. In 2014, I had bilateral knee surgery. That's 2 knees done at the same time. In 2017, I had the 3rd knee surgery on a device that failed in my left knee. Both times, visiting nurses came and helped me when I came home. I support this motion.
Thank you. Mr. Dunkley.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I agree that these are all worthy charities, but for a number of years, I've never felt comfortable taking tax money from my fellow taxpayers and determining which charities I wish to support. I give to charities. I will not vote for this article. Like I said, I just don't feel comfortable in determining where your tax money specifically goes towards charities.
Further discussion, Mr. Brzezinski.
I just want to echo what Jeff said. Years back, when I first moved to town, we had a list this long of these charities that we would donate to, and back then, somebody brought up the exact point he's making and the exact point that she's made, and I think it's time that we get out of charitable giving from taxes.
Further discussion on Article 25. Back in the room, Mr. Pond.
I don't know how to say it without asking the question, but can we do this vote by paper ballot?
Do 7 people want this vote by paper ballot? Please stand if you want the vote by paper ballot. We need 7 of you to do that. I see 3, 4. We need 3 more, 5. 2 more will be needed. 2, 3, 4, 5. Are you 2 standing in the back? 6. Okay, we need 1 more. 7. All right. We can do this vote by paper ballot. And if you do decide to end debate, I'll tell you how to do that. Moved and seconded, we cease debate. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. All right, we're going to cease debate. and we'll vote on the question by paper ballot. All of you have these voter cards. If you don't, go see Shirley or Mary Lynn. Make sure you have one. And David will make sure you have one as well. All right. On the back of the top card, list the 3 agencies and say yes or no. On the back of the first card, write the 3 agencies down and say yes or no. Just, it should be the purple card, but whatever the top card is, okay? Whatever the top card is, you can vote on all 3 or vote on one at a time. And then when you finish that, please go to the ballot box. Mr. Wayman, question. Yes, the voter's intent will be considered. So please put it in the ballot box when you're done. Put it in the ballot box when you're done. Polls are open.
That's Chris's. Hey, I've got one here. You want to use it?
Hey, Tim.
Oh, good. Has everybody voted? Get your ballots in now or lose the right. Put a hustle on it. I declare the ballot box closed. Go ahead and count. We're in recess while you count. Well, so far so good. Moving this is the quickest count we've ever done. Of course, it helps them as well. And a reminder, there's a porta potty down here. Purchased for the day by Steve's Septic Service. Support your local septic people. Yeah, about 65 people. I'm smelling finish line. Oh yeah. Precisely. He's all done. Yeah. It's good for them to stay good PR in case anybody gets hit by a falling fence. Right. Of course. All right. Thank you. Okay. All right. I'm good. We're back in order. And if you see a small girl and a small dog going by wearing ruby red slippers, you'll understand. Listen now to the results of your vote on Article 25 for the SEVCA appropriation. Voting yes, 22. Voting no, 48. HCRS, voting yes, 25. Voting no, 44. Visiting nurse and hospice, voting yes, 24. Voting no, 46. I declare all three of the appropriations have been defeated. Article 26. Shall the voters appropriate the sum of $15,000 to be raised by taxes for the operation of the Vernon Emergency Management Office. Is there a motion on the floor?
Mr. Moderator.
Mrs. Harris.
I move that the voters appropriate the sum of $15,000 to be raised by taxes for the operation of the Emergency Management Office.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded, the voters appropriate the sum of $15,000 to be raised by taxes for the operation of the Emergency Management Office. Discussion on the motion. Mr. Parker.
I would just like to say that over this last year, with everything that's gone on with COVID, last March, I believe, the governor declared a state of emergency. Vernon followed suit. Every select board meeting, Mr. Emery, who is our emergency director, has joined us for updates to let us know how things are going, to let us know what changes there are, and to make sure that Vernon is as safe as we could possibly be. I support this, and I think that we all owe Mr. Emery a very sincere thank you.
Further discussion on the article, Mr. Kosis. You need to bring him a microphone.
For the Department of Emergency Services, what's in their coffers at this point?
What was that again?
In the account? How much do they have in the account for now?
Mrs. Turnley is queried.
Cindy Turnley, Town Treasurer. This is not a fund. This is an article. So there's not a fund that we carry a balance over each year.
All right, so we're voting on $15,000 for this year. There's nothing else, any kind of a...
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Further discussion on Article 26. Mr. Rosinski.
Just a question, what do we do with the money? How is it spent?
Mr. Emery is queried. In fact, your grandson's coming to you with a microphone if you want to stay there.
Thank you, Jackson. So, Don, it doesn't go to you, so just so you know, it doesn't go to the Snowmobile Club. But there's $15,000, and in the past number of years, we have used the money just for the office. We use it for heat, electricity, and everything. We maintain the office at the Edson House, where the Emergency Management Office is, right down the road. We also maintain all our radios. We maintain all the upkeep of that. We have signboards that we maintain. We assist with the fire department. We assist with the sheriff's department and anyone else that needs anything. We do reports every year to the state. It's the emergency management throughout is a mandate by the federal government. They mandated back. It's called Title III SARA. Back when hazardous materials became popular. And so what happened is the feds told the states they had to have emergency management directors, and the states turned and said to each municipal, each town, said that you have to have an emergency management director, you have to have an emergency plan, and if you don't appoint or have someone say they will do that, then the chairman of the board automatically gets tagged with that job. So it's not something that we can do. The budget primarily is, or the budget or the appropriation is primarily used for maintaining stuff. The plan, as you have heard me say over the last couple of years, is to leave the Edson House and move our physical location into the town hall here. Number of reasons why that hasn't happened yet, primarily because COVID really knocked the heck out of everything. We have to have a generator here. Without a generator, we can't have an emergency management office. And there's a number of things that need to take place at the physical plant here before we can do that, as well as moving radios and towers and stuff like that. So in essence, that's where the majority of the funding goes.
Further discussion on Article 26. And seeing none, we'll go for a vote. The motion is that voters appropriate the sum of $15,000 to be raised by taxes for the operation of the Emergency Management Office. All those in favor of the article say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You have passed Article 26. Article 27 is buried underneath a lot of paper. Article 27, shall the voters appropriate a sum of $20,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established Vernon Farmland Protection Fund. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator.
Mrs. Harris.
I move that the voters appropriate a sum of $20,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established Vernon Farmland Protection Fund.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded, the voters appropriate a sum of $20,000 to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established Vernon Farmland Protection Fund. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
I'll defer to Mattie Arms.
Mrs. Arms, you are asked to speak on the question. She is a member of the Farmland Preservation Committee.
Madeline Arms, and I'm actually speaking for Art Miller, who is the president of the Farmland Protection.
Please speak up.
I'm actually speaking for Art Miller because he could not be here today, and I'm going to read his statement. Dear fellow citizens of Vernon, due to the effects of my second COVID vaccine shot yesterday, I will not be able to attend today's town meeting. The Farmland Protection Fund was set up to help buy development rights of farmland here in Vernon, thus preserving open land and supporting our local farms. Over the past few years, 3 such parcels consisting of over 200 acres has been preserved. The Farmland Protection Advisory Committee, per town meeting 2 years ago, feels that the fund should be vested to $250,000 and then allowed to accrue interest investment income until other acreage becomes available. Thus, in my opinion, the current fund balance should be determined, and the difference between the balance and $250,000 should be raised and appropriated, capped at $20,000. If the current balance exceeds $250,000, then no additional funds would need to be raised. We currently know of no land available for preservation. We appreciate the town's support of this effort and towards all the farmers in our community. Respectfully submitted, Art Miller, Chair of the Farmland Protection Advisory Committee. I would like to make an additional comment to this.
Okay.
Art instructed me to check with the treasurer to see what the actual balance is as of this time. And the actual balance in the Farmland Protection Committee fund is $240,646.10. Therefore, we don't need to appropriate any more than $9,353.90, if that is your pleasure.
Do you wish to make that as an amendment?
I do.
Do you wish to make that as an amendment? You do.
Yes.
I'll second that.
And it's been seconded that we change the amount of appropriation in the article to $9,353.90. Believe I have that correct. Discussion on the Arms Amendment. Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment as read, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. The motion has been amended. So the amended article would be that the voters appropriate the sum of $9,353.90 to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established Vernon Farmland Protection Fund. Further discussion on the article as amended. Mr. Kosis. Gentleman needs a microphone back there.
Thanks. Hey, folks, I know we're getting long in the tooth here on this meeting, but we're at $240,000 the Farmland Protection Committee has, and farmland open space is phenomenal. But if there's no available farmland to be, purchased, any easements or any development rights, I would ask that we'd hold off the $10,000. We voted for some stuff earlier that maybe this $10,000 could hold off for a year or so until something comes up that might be a little more urgent. We can let it fly, let it go at that point. I'd like to see this, voted down and leave their coffers at $240 some odd thousand, and until which time a parcel may come up, we can discuss it further. Thank you.
Further discussion on Article 27. Gentleman there with a voter card, please step up and state your name.
Hi, it's Gregory Corcoran. Just want to say totally in favor of the farmland fund. However, almost $250,000 should be able to generate enough interest at this point to maintain the fund. So, thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion on the article. You raising your hand back there, sir? Or you just trying to block out the sun? Just want to make sure you're not trying to speak. All right. Very good.
Jeff
You're
Hardy?
recognized.
Jeff Hardy. I've been on the Farmland Protection Board for several years, and I don't have the exact numbers with me now, but I would say in the last 5 years, we've spent in excess of $250,000 on the acreage that has been preserved. And when these things come up, you don't have any warning. You have some opportunities. I think in one of the ones that had come up, there was some matching funds from the state, so we're able to put away a lot of money pretty quick, or put some land into protection quickly. And I don't see many solar fields down through here. I don't know if you guys want to see them, but that's kind of what you're going to help protect.
Further discussion on Article 27 as amended. Mr. Kosis, you can speak for a second time if the gentleman gets you the microphone.
Again, folks, as was said earlier, last year was pretty tough on a lot of people, myself included. And every little bit that we have that we don't have to spend through taxation, which is based on all of our articles, all by way of taxation, helps us out. I mean, at a $240,000, like this gentleman said, interest alone should be able to cover that and build it up slowly. I get it. Open space, no solar fields, I understand, but almost $250,000, you guys, it has that committee, the slush fund, and it can stay there. It's fine, but we need to start capping that off there. I think now's the time. Thank you.
Further discussion on Article 27? Right over there. I believe that's Mrs. Manning. My eyesight hasn't totally failed me.
I'm kind of hard to miss. Norma Manning. Pardon the pun, but farming is literally Vernon's bread and butter. All right? This is what's left that's keeping our land open, that's keeping our heritage, the way that most of this town has agreed historically that we want it to be. There aren't a lot of big farms left. It is amazing when you come into Vernon and you walk, just walk through Vernon. Take a day, take 7 hours, walk through Vernon and just see the number of open fields we have. That's not going to be here forever if we don't take action and we don't make conscientious steps to keep our land open and for farming to take place here.
Mr. Emery is recognized right in back of Mr. Emery.
I'm sorry that Mr. Miller isn't here, but I'm happy to know that he has gotten his vaccination. And I can push you. Go get your vaccination, folks. But let me tell you about the farmland. We are fortunate in this town to have the farmland that we have. This committee is the only committee today that has stood up and reduced what they were asking for because they also understand the impact on the taxes and what happens here. And I would like to applaud that committee for taking advantage, and I would urge you to pass that.
Further discussion on Article 27. All those in favor of, is there a second? Moved and seconded. All those in favor of ceasing debate, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. The question is, as amended, shall the voters appropriate the sum of $9,353.90 to be raised by taxes to fund the previously established Vernon Farmland Protection Fund? All those in favor of the article, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You've passed Article 27. Article 28. Shall the voters in the town of Vernon appropriate a sum of $6,618 to be raised by taxes for the support of Southeastern Vermont Economic Development Strategies, otherwise known as SEVEDS, to provide workforce and economic coordination services to the Windham region? Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Root.
I move that the voters in the town of Vernon appropriate the sum of $6,618 to be raised by taxes to support the Southeastern Vermont Economic Development Strategies to provide workforce and economic coordination services to the Windham region.
Do we have a second? Moved and seconded, the voters in the town of Vernon appropriate the sum of $6,618 to be raised by taxes for the support of Southeastern Vermont Economic Development Strategies, otherwise known as SEVEDS, to provide workforce and economic coordination services to the Windham region. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
I don't, but they have a representative here if they can speak.
Is there a representative who wishes to speak? Please come forward. Are you a resident of the town of Vernon? No. Okay, without objection by the body, you're allowed to speak. Unless I hear objection, you're allowed to speak. Come on down.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you, Select Board. Thank you, Town.
And your name, please?
R.T. Brown. I work for the Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation. I'm here to speak on behalf of SEVED, Southeastern Vermont Economic Development Strategies. It's been a long day, so I'll keep my comments brief and yield for further discussion. But SEVED's basically sets the strategy for the region to help mitigate the economic conditions that we face in a rural economy. SEVEDS leads with strategy and insights and contracts with the BDCC to help fulfill those strategies and insights. We go to all the towns in the region. There's 27 towns in the region. Last year, we received funding from 82% of Windham residents. So we use the municipal funding for three purposes. One purpose is to bring more funding to the region. Last year we administered $635,000 of federal and state funding for BDCC and SEVEDS programs. We develop programs, so that's for capacity to create these programs and do research and planning. And we fund those, the implementation of those programs. To get specific, because that's what you want to know. 3 Vernon businesses received what we call liaison support from BDCC to help apply for federal and state relief during COVID. 13 businesses received $537,000 from the Paycheck Protection Program, and they employ about 48 people. Sounds like a big number. One of those was most likely Vernon Green, the elder care facility down the road. Something I'm proud of is for a program called the Community Facility Support Program, introduced Vernon Green to a program at the USDA, and they're most likely getting funding for their expansion project that will probably be several $1 million to help fund that. Actually, we're working, we provided a little bit of support to the person who is doing that composting business. So my area of focus has been to the support of local businesses. One Vernon business received up to $4,000 in the Restart Vermont technical assistance program. We're at, the ask is $6,600, but I think you can see that there's value that's generated through the programming that we implement. The bottom line is people need jobs, and that's our focus. So we try either through small business development or through working with the larger employers in the region. We work on programs to help maintain that vibrancy in the business community so that you as residents can pay your taxes and support the organizations that you hold so near and dear to your heart. So I'll yield to questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion on Article 28. Right over there, Ms. Lockever.
Just to put a face on this program, I represent you on the council. Remember a few years ago, Entergy gave money for economic development. It's called the Windham County Economic Development Program Council, otherwise known as WikiDip. I represent you on that council, and I'm proud to represent Vernon. And I just want to say, vote for this. We haven't in the past because we thought we didn't know, but people in this town benefit. People in southern Vermont benefit by this program. Thank you.
Further discussion on Article 28. Seeing none, the question is that the voters in the town of Vernon appropriate the sum of $6,618 to be raised by taxes for the support of Southeastern Vermont Economic Development Strategies, known as SEVEDS, to provide workforce and economic coordination services to the Windham region. All those in favor of the article, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You passed Article 28. Article 29. Shall the voters authorize payment of real estate and personal property taxes to the town treasurer in 3 installments, with the due dates being September 16th of 2021, January 13th of 2022, and May 5th of 2022. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Root.
I move that the voters authorize payment of real and personal property taxes to the town treasurer in 3 installments, with the due dates being September 16th, 2021, January 13th, 2022, and May 5th, 2022.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, the voters authorize payment of real and personal property taxes to the town treasurer in 3 installments, with due dates being September 16th, 2021, January 13th, 2022, and May 5th of 2022. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the article, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You passed Article 29. Article 30. Shall the voters approve the provision of notice of availability of the town report and auditor's report by postcard mailed to all registered voters at least 30 days prior to town meeting, in lieu of mailing or otherwise distributing the town report and auditor's report as authorized by Vermont law and 24 VSA subsection 1682A2. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Parker.
I move that the voters approve the provision of notice of availability of the town report and auditor's report by postcard mailed to all registered voters at least 30 days prior to town meeting, in lieu of mailing or otherwise distributing the town report and auditor's report as authorized by Vermont law and 24 VSA section 1682A2.
Do we have a second? Moved and seconded, the voters approve the provision of notice of availability of the town report and auditor's report by postcard mailed to all registered voters at least 30 days prior to town meeting, in lieu of mailing or otherwise distributing the town report and auditor's report as authorized by Vermont law and 24 VSA section 1682A2. Discussion on the motion. Then all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. You passed Article 30. Under the COVID regulations we're dealing with, we do not have the ability to do other business, so I'll take a motion to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you so much. We'll see you next year. Yeah, just go to the window. Thank you, Seth. We got through it, babe.